In 2021, chess streaming stars Andrea and Alexandra Botez ran a fast-paced bullet chess tournament, games under 3 minutes per side, lasting 1 hour on their platform. Who won this tournament? That's the audience question for today's episode, and this is one that I'll answer at the end of today's episode. Cue the music. Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 138 of Are You Quizzing Me, your favorite quizzing and trivia podcast show. Aditya and I are back for another round of quizzing. And without further ado, let's first find out who was the fastest finger first in last week's Smack.
The person who managed to smack it in the last episode, which was episode 137, shall be revealed after I tell you what the question was. As always, it was a question that was a visual question. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on our Instagram. It's also on our Reddit page. The social media audience question of Smack was a picture of an old-timey painting, a portrait of a place in Mumbai. And the question was very simple. What would you find at this historic location in Mumbai today? So clearly this location doesn't look the way it does in the painting, because the painting is from centuries ago. What would you find at that exact spot today? The person who got it first is a regular Smack winner, Nitin. Nitin answered within like a few minutes of us posting it. It's insane. I am truly honored and humbled that people see us on Instagram and decide to spend time answering us to sometimes very ridiculous, stupid questions. So thank you, Nitin. The answer was Gateway of India. This is the Apollo Bandar. Apollo Bandar, I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but
Bandar.
Bandar?
Bandar.
That's how a sober person probably says it, yeah. That's the spot where Gateway of India today exists. It was built, as a lot of people would know, to commemorate the king and the queen arriving after their coronation. And the reason I asked in the last episode, so if you haven't heard the episode, good reason to go check it out now, because the entire episode was filled with a bunch of Easter eggs, I guess, related to Mumbai. This was the nice dressing on top of it. Good job, Nitin. Thank you for answering.
Great job, Nitin. Let's start off our regular round of quizzing for today. Aditya, what's your question? I think it's your turn to go first, so the floor is yours. Or the mic, or whatever.
Well, thank you. I am truly honored. This question will be an honorable question. The segue will make sense at the very end of it, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm going to divide the question up into a few parts. So let's do it part by part, and it'll all tie up together at the end of it. It's a one single question, all right? But the first part is, this person goes by the name of Ishan Chandra Manikya, who was the Raja of Tripura from 1849 to 1862. He's part of the Manikya family, which have been ruling Tripura for centuries. Their origins are shrouded in some sort of legend, some sort of mythology, but they've been well documented at least in the last quite a few centuries, and there's been a continuous line of succession. However, there was, let's say, a slight deviation where the son did not come into power. Ishan Chandra Manikya's son did not come into power. Both his sons didn't come into power. Instead, his brother decided to take over the throne. So, when his son, who went by the name of Navadvip, didn't come into power, what happened in his life that led to a contribution to Indian pop culture?
So, it's quite a testament to the fact that we've spent so much time together that when I came across this piece of trivia, I framed the question almost exactly as you did. Almost exactly, but mine was a little more long-winded, as I tend to be. And It's on my plate to ask in the next couple of episodes. But I digress. This is the origin of the Burman legacy, SD and RD Burman, who transformed the music industry in Bollywood.
As always, very well cracked. And I think you're right, because actually quite convinced that you will crack this immediately. You'll get it very quickly. So I was not sure if I should ask it, but you know, it was such an interesting TIL for me. I had to ask.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. I don't know what else to say. Well, Vinny, which is brilliant. You are a brilliant man. Just some additional trivia over there. The person who came into power, the uncle, his name was Bir Chandra Manikya. He's considered quite significant in the development of Tripura and it becoming, in progressing in the ways it did in the 19th century. He's considered the architect of modern Agartala city as well. And I think he was very influenced by the way the Britishers were doing things, the good things that the Brits did back in England. So he decided to import a lot of those ideas into Tripura, and it did benefit the state. People do hold him in high regard over there. But the brother who didn't come to power, rather the nephews who didn't come to power, decided to make a mark, I could say probably in a more emotionally resonant way. Because S.D. Burman, R.D. Burman's music is phenomenal. And the people in question, Nabadweep Chandra Dev Burman was the son in question. And N.D. Burman was the father of Sachin Dev Burman and the grandfather of Rahul Dev Burman, S.D. Burman, R.D. Burman. Well done. Grand crack over there, sir. The next question has to do with Indian mythology. This is part 2 of the same question, all right? So I'm going to tell you a little mythological story, a Hindu mythological story. According to folklore, Lord Shiv left Mount Kailash after losing a game of dice to his wife, goddess Parvati, and decided to settle in the jungles of Kushanthali. When Parvati came searching for him, Shiv transformed into a tiger to frighten her. Pranky side to Lord Shiv. So he transformed into a tiger to frighten her. Terrified, Parvati cried out, translated into English, it would be, "Save me, O Lord of the Mountains." Now this trivia might not be very easily cracked by most trivia enthusiasts, but you, Vineet, because of your life journey, I think might have a good crack at it. Question is, what did Parvati say, or rather, what Parvati said led to something specific in Goa? What am I talking about?
Does this have anything to do with Gomantak or the origin of the name of Goa?
Very slightly warm in the sense that it is an etymology question, but no, it doesn't have anything to do with Gomantak.
Okay. Anything to do with the Mangeshi temple?
Vineet. Okay, I'm just going to tell for our audience benefit, I don't think this was a conceited Vineet crack. This was a very educated guess, Vineet crack. And props to him for doing that. It was a very, very smart guess, and I like it. Going to tell us how you arrived at it?
No, I was thinking, okay, I had no clue as to where this is going, so I was thinking of you. And you have this tendency to put up topical questions. Asha Bhosle, Mangeshkar, Lata Mangeshkar, Mangeshi temple.
Oh man, you've already cracked my full question. Fine, I'll just continue anyways. Okay. It is Mangesh temple. And this is a temple. Let's pretend like Vinny did not say the last 2 sentences he did. Okay, let's move from there. Let's just go back to when he had just guessed the answer. Wow, Vineet, you got the Mangesh temple, which is a Hindu temple in the state of Goa. I believe it is the largest and definitely the most visited temple in Goa, the Hindu temple in Goa.
Yes. I think Gauta Saraswata Brahmins, for them, it's one of their, I think, Mula Kshetras. As in, they believe that their origin and that's their temple. So even if they're settled in Calicut or Mangalore or in Cochin or wherever, you have pockets of populations of Gauta Saraswata, GSBs as they like to call themselves. They do actually just perform pilgrimages to multiple temples in Goa, Mangesha temple being one of the primary ones.
Perfect. Well, yeah, that's a very, very succinctly summarized cultural relevance of this temple in Goa. And what Parvati, the goddess, had cried out was Trahi Mam Girisha. I guess this is Sanskrit. Trahi Mam Girisha. Girisha I know means Lord of the Mountains, and the rest I'm assuming means save me. So save me, Lord of the Mountains. Trahi Mam Girisha. Mam Girisha over time became Mangesh. That's where we get the Mangesh temple, which is the Hindu temple in Goa. All right, perfect. Okay. That was part 2. The last part of our question, Vineet, is actually literally not like there is no fun way of phrasing this question. I'm just going to straight up ask you, Vineet, of course you know of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Do you know which clan did Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj belong to?
The Bhosles.
All right, tie up my 3 questions for me, Vineet.
So you have R.D. Burman, Lata Mangeshkar and Asha Bhosle.
Wonderful. So Rahul Dev Burman, R.D. Burman, the music composer, was Asha Bhosle's husband. Lata Mangeshkar, from the Mangeshkar family of just stalwarts of music, or definitely stalwarts of Hindi cinema music, have derived their name from the Mangesh temple in Goa. Their father, forgetting his first name, he decided to take the name Mangeshkar, as in from Mangesh, or somebody in their clan, I guess, I don't know. Somebody in the family took the name Mangeshkar from Mangesh. And that's Mangeshkar. And Bhosle was Asha Bhosle's first husband. She ended up marrying this man when she was very young. They got separated. Wasn't a very happy marriage, but decided to keep her name. I'm assuming because, as a lot of people discover, when they are known by a certain name, they don't want to change it, even if that women have decided to leave their husband and leave that person with the name. They keep the name still. So yeah, she kept the name, and happy ending there, because she met the love of her life in R.D. Burman, who was, the first time they met apparently was when he was a 10-year-old, and he was with his father, and she might have been in her late teens. I think there is like a 10-year age gap. So they met at that time, and he was apparently a big fan of hers. And then much later, it's a very cute story, much later, they were working together, and he was secretly sending her roses every day. And she was getting annoyed. And this one day, he was there in the studio, and she's like, who's this idiot who keeps sending it to me every day? And there was a mutual friend there who very pointedly was like, this guy, So that's when Asha Bhosle figured out that R.D. Burman was smitten by her and was sending her roses. And love story blossomed, and we lost quite the treasure of Indian music recently. Asha Bhosle, I've been listening to some of her music. A phenomenal pop culture recommendation. Go listen to Asha Bhosle music. My favorite would be the second national award-winning song from the movie Ijazat, and that is Mera Kuch Saman. But just the lyrics are beautiful, the music is beautiful, her voice is beautiful. Mera Kuch Saman in Ijazat. All right. That was my first long-winded question, but Vineet, take it away with your question. Oh, honorable because she's just an honorable person.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were going with the right honorable R.D. Burman, because technically he is a prince.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's go with that also.
There is somewhat of a segue here, but I'm not going to tell you because it will be something of a giveaway. So I'm not going to tell you what the segue is. But this staple of many Western weddings is quite possibly the worst possible choice given its original context. It was popularized when Princess Victoria, who was the eldest daughter of Queen Victoria, don't confuse the two, chose it for her wedding. It is almost universally banned at Jewish weddings, but for a much darker reason. What am I talking about?
You said staple at weddings, but staple didn't necessarily mean food, right? Not a staple meal.
No. I'm using it in the literary sense.
Got it. I know there is some sort of aristocratic origin to the white dress that the bride wears, but I don't know if it comes specifically from the British royal family.
It does. Queen Victoria was the first to popularize white wedding dresses. Until then, women wore all kinds of colors, bright colors, red and violet and whatnot. But she was a much more austere person and chose white. And since then, it's become the trend.
Yeah, and also it wouldn't have made sense to wear white, especially if you didn't have a lot of money, because it's just a very difficult, obviously, color to keep clean and use it again and again, as most people who are poorer would have. I doubt poor people were buying one wedding dress and then never wearing it again. Like, it would make more sense to just wear your best dress at your wedding. Okay. If it's not the white bridal dress, and you also said it's banned at Jewish weddings, but for other reasons.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just try process of elimination. If not the wedding dress, there is the bridal cake, there is the first dance, there is the kiss, there is walking down the aisle.
Which of these could possibly be banned at a Jewish wedding? I would suggest you try that and try to reason through that.
I would imagine a kiss is probably not. But I also know the royals don't kiss, because I've seen at least the highlights of the last few royal weddings. I'm pretty sure both the princes didn't kiss at their weddings.
I don't know. I've not watched a royal wedding, so I don't know if they did or did not kiss. But William and Kate,
they came out on the balcony and they kissed, I think.
And they kissed, yes. And there was a lot made out of the fact that she leaned in for the kiss. So people were like, oh, it's a love marriage kind of thing. And I was like, I think Diana did the same thing.
Oh man, everything cool that the British royal family is doing, probably done by Diana, much better.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the kiss seems the most logical answer then. The rest of it, why would it be banned?
It's not the case. It's not the case. It's a staple at most Western weddings, not all Western weddings, but it's something that you would immediately recognize.
If it's not one of the things that I've already said, then might be the throwing of the flowers. Does it have some sort of a negative connotation?
The bouquet? No, it's not
Yeah.
that. It's not that. Something much more integral to the ceremony itself.
Is it something I mentioned so far, or should I be thinking
You
otherwise?
have tangentially kind of mentioned it. You've mentioned something that goes along with it, but not it itself.
The father giving away the daughter.
Okay, what happens just before that?
The father walks the daughter down the aisle.
And what happens alongside that?
There is music playing. I don't know.
Okay, and
Oh, wow.
and you are red hot. You're red hot.
There is that
What's it called?
The bridal entry music. I've forgotten the name, man.
It's called the bridal march, commonly known as "Here Comes the Bride."
Right.
And this has a fascinating story behind it.
Okay.
The bridal chorus was popularized as a real life world wedding song by Princess Victoria, eldest daughter of Queen Victoria. She was a known patron of the opera, and she selected Wagner's Bridal March as the processional music for her marriage to Prince Frederick William of Prussia on January 25th, 1858. Now, because the British royal family held massive cultural influence, this immediately became a trend down the general public. Now, as you know, Wagner is not a popular choice among Jewish weddings, and I'll get to why. But prior to that, I mentioned that this piece of music is possibly the worst choice for a wedding. Do you know why?
Because you said it's part of an operatic piece. Is there some part in the opera where the bride dies or something?
Oh, very close. Okay. So this is part of the opera Lohengrin. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's Lohengrin. Lohengrin. And this is a song that plays as a prelude to a spectacularly doomed marriage. In the opera, Lohengrin, who's a mysterious knight, agrees to marry Elsa, the heroine of the piece, on one strict condition that she must never ask him his name or where he comes from. Almost immediately after the bridal chorus ends in the opera and the attendants leave them alone in the bedchamber, Elsa's anxiety and paranoia take over. Now, and before they even consummate the marriage, she breaks her vow and asks the forbidden question. Just as Elsa asks the question, an assassin, Count Telramund, bursts into the bridal chamber to attack Lohengrin. Lohengrin strikes the man dead with a sword right there in the bedroom. His identity as a knight of the Holy Grail is revealed, and he announces that he must now leave Elsa forever and departs on a boat pulled by a swan. Elsa, heartbroken and overwhelmed by grief, collapses and dies. When the song was played at the 1885 royal wedding of Princess Beatrice, many years later, a prominent music critic at the time noted, a more inappropriate selection could hardly be made, for in Wagner's opera, the newly married couple are parted on their wedding night, never again to meet on earth. The piece is almost universally banned at Jewish weddings, but for a much darker reason. As Aditya already knows, Wagner was a virulent, outspoken anti-Semite who published essays claiming Jewish people lacked artistic capability. Decades after his death, he became the favorite composer of one Mr. Adolf Hitler, and his music was heavily co-opted by the Nazi Party to promote Aryan cultural greatness. So because of this, it's never played at Jewish weddings, but you do find in many Western weddings, and if you've never heard the piece, this is it.
Insane. Yeah, you're right. I think the moment you told me or we figured out the answer is a bridal song, I immediately thought it must be a Wagner composition. Because man, has there never been a person who has better personified the idea of separating the art from the artist. Because, God, he was so problematic, but oh my God, his music is so good. And I remember the first time I encountered his name, I had, of course, heard of his composition. It's one of those things that you absolutely could not have missed if you have indulged in pop culture, especially Western pop culture. I heard his name was in a Stephen Fry interview, and he was literally talking about this. And he was like, I abhor the man, but I can't help but be moved by his music. Like, it's not even, you can't intellectualize it. At some point, you hear the music and it just moves you. And I get it, because you hear the music and it moves you. How could you possibly be like, no, I'm going to hate this music because he was a terrible man? Best personification of that age-old question of art and the artist. But yeah, very nice question. I had no idea of this history. And that's surprising, because this should be one of those things, one of those trivia that you come across that you're like, how does everybody not already know this?
Yes. And the connection between your question and mine, twice-fold, both a royal connection and a music connection, and a composer.
There we go. Very nice.
Well, as
fantastic. Perfect segue time as well, because we were talking about somebody German. So I'm going to just move over and talk about somebody Austrian, and not Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
This particular gentleman, X was an Austrian physicist and philosopher who contributed to the understanding of physics in the late 19th century. Through his criticism of Isaac Newton's theories of space and time, he foreshadowed Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. So, of course, Albert Einstein, the genius man that he was, there were other people who were also kind of on the same track and maybe might have ended up at the same point as he did. As a philosopher of science, he was a major influence on logical positivism and American pragmatism. So, his reach extended beyond just pure physics. He was also into philosophy. And for anybody who doesn't know, pragmatism or American pragmatism is a philosophical tradition that views language and thought as tools of prediction, problem solving, and action, rather than just describing or mirroring reality. So it has a purpose. It endows language with the purpose of problem solving rather than just description. It's pretty interesting. Go look at it if you are curious. Tell me, Vineet, what is named after X? And this is a very simple science unit etymology question. Which unit is named after him?
Austrian physicist who was also a philosopher and a proponent of American pragmatism.
That's right.
And he has a unit named after himself.
You know what? This could be a first hint. It's not exactly a unit. It's more of like a quantity.
Okay, so more of a quantity. Okay. I don't know. My mind goes to Gauss, but I think that's much earlier. And you said quantity. So, not sure. I'll need some kind of clue here because I think I'm floundering in the dark a little bit.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you a little bit more context as to what his work was, which is relevant to the number in question. His work as a physicist also led to the understanding of the physics of shock waves.
Shock waves as in sonic booms?
Yeah.
Is this, what was his first name? His last name is Mach, as in Mach 3 or Mach 20 or Mach 10 as Tom Cruise apparently did. But I don't remember his first name, but that guy is Mach, the sonic boom shockwave fellow.
Couple of questions right there. Well done. Amazing. Awesome. As always, I'm bored of saying that. But firstly, you even kind of had an inkling as to his first name. I would have guessed Mark, but I would have absolutely no clue as to his first name because this would be completely out of the blue. So
no, I don't know his first name. That was the point of my entire rant.
You were even like trying to guess it. Like if I was going to go for it, it basically means that you have come across this trivia at some point in your past. You are
not
a well-read
trivia.
man.
I know the guy's name because I know the scientist who's did shockwaves and supersonic motion. That I know.
Exactly my point.
But I have no idea about the philosophy.
Moving on. The second and more pertinent question is, why was Tom Cruise in your Top Gun sequel played by Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why was it Mach? It's a Mach.
Mach 3. Yeah.
Oh, I know why. Because he says, I'll be back. And you made the Mach. Oh God, that is so dumb. That's how your brain worked, Vineet.
I'll tell you something. For some reason, I don't know why, my algorithm has been pointing me towards certain German comedians.
Okay.
And I also simultaneously, for some reason, had seen a clip on Instagram of the original recording of Hercules in New York. So if you've seen Hercules in New York, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger's first ever movie,
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, his voice is dubbed over by an American.
Sure.
It's very weird. The cognitive dissonance is deafening. Like literally, it's that bad. When you watch the movie, it's like, it doesn't compute. And then I saw a clip recently of him actually saying the dialogue, and then the dubbed version. So he's been on the forefront of my mind. And so when you said Austrian, obviously the most famous Austrian after that house painter is Arnold Schwarzenegger, at least for current day people.
Most famous Austrian. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, probably Schwarzenegger is a very close contender for the top spot. All right, amazing. Very well cracked. Very impressive as always. This was just a question because I remember last episode you asked me the barn and I wanted to do a unit question. Though, let me clarify. Mach is not technically a unit. The Mach number, which is usually just called Mach, is a dimensionless quantity in fluid dynamics, which represents the ratio of flow velocity past a boundary to the local speed of sound. Sounds complicated, but it literally means that Mach 1 is the speed of sound in air when a plane is flying in the air. Then if it reaches the speed of sound in air, which is around 330 meters per second, that would be Mach 1 and then multiples of it. So in Top Gun, the sequel, in the very beginning scene, for anybody who remembers, I think he hits Mach 10. So he's 10 times the speed of sound, and then he goes overboard and crashes the plane, yada, yada, yada. That's the Mach number.
I think the fastest ever that the SR-71 Blackbird, the Lockheed Martin SR-77 or 71 Blackbird, which if you're interested, please go. There are multiple documentaries available online which talk about the feat of engineering that the SR-71 was. I think that ever only reached around Mach 3 or 3.3 or something like that.
You're right. It is interesting. So they took that much of a creative liberty, huh?
No, technically that record has been broken technically, because when the space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere, it can be going as fast as Mach 8 or Mach 10 or something like that, Mach 20 or something. I don't remember exactly, but it goes substantially faster when it's re-entering the atmosphere, the space shuttle.
But it's not a human-generated speed.
It's
right?
not. It's not. That's basically gravity doing most of the heavy lifting.
Interesting. I'm surprised. I had no idea what the record was, but to take that big a creative liberty to go from 3.3 to 10, I think he reaches 10.2 or 10.3. That's quite the leap, literally. All right. Yeah. Fantastic. Vineet, go ahead and break my mind. No, that doesn't make any sense. Let me try that again. Go ahead and go past the speed of... No, let me try one last time. By the way,
okay.
the whip is the first human-made object.
The first object is to broke the sound barrier.
Sound barrier, okay. Let me try one last time. Vineet, go for your question.
Okay, so in 1988, a massive unarmed crowd crossed from Peshawar, Pakistan into Afghanistan's Jalalabad via the Khyber Pass without border documentation, as officials from both nations waived entry requirements. Soviet forces and Mujahideen fighters, Afghan-Soviet war was going on at the time, halted combat for 24 hours to permit this rare transit. Despite the halt in hostilities, blasts claimed over a dozen lives amid the gathering. What event prompted this exceptional cross-border allowance and temporary ceasefire?
When was this?
1988.
1988, Pakistan to Afghanistan across the Khyber Pass. Those regions do get affected by earthquakes, though I don't remember if there was one in 88. Was it a natural disaster? Was it an earthquake? Was it a landslide?
No, it was not a natural disaster. No,
this is not ringing any bells at all. Please give me a hint.
So the hint I would give you is that this was not a natural disaster, but the end of a force of nature. I'm pretty proud of that tweet. Even though it might be stupid to some people, I don't care. I'm proud of it.
Say that again. Let me pay attention to your inflection.
No, so I'm saying it wasn't prompted by a natural disaster. It was prompted by the end of a force of nature.
1988, I don't know how much climate change related snowcap melting was clearly evident.
Oh, you're taking it way too literally.
Okay. I was going to say something like, did a pass suddenly open up and they decided to let people go through? Okay, no.
No.
No idea at all.
Normally, the phrase force of nature is used in mainly two contexts, right? One is where you have a powerful natural phenomenon. What is the other? Like the more literary use of this phrase.
Assumed you weren't talking about an actual natural occurrence, in which case a force of nature sometimes used to describe people also, right? Like he's a specific person is impressive in the way.
Now think of my clue. Now think of my clue again. I said it's not a natural disaster, but it was prompted by the end of a force of nature.
Man, I wish I knew Pakistani or Afghani politics better. I'm trying to think of what in 1988.
It's the time frame that's kind of throwing you off, because if I had told you this had happened 20 years prior, you probably would have given me the answer by now.
So somebody passed away, I'm assuming, in 1988?
Yes.
Somebody prominent passed away in 1988. Somebody Pakistani?
No. They did pass away in Pakistan, but they were not Pakistani technically.
Oh, interesting. Curiouser and curiouser. I think I'm going to crack this. Give me one more hint.
This is a giveaway, but this person, because we've already established that it was the death of a person, was awarded the highest civilian honor by India.
A Bharat Ratna? What? Oh, wow. What? Oh, I was then completely off the mark. Somebody was given a Bharat Ratna. Oh, wait. This doesn't make any sense. Is it? What's his... keep thinking of Frontier Gandhi. Bacha Khan. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan.
Yes, this is Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan.
Wait, what? He passed away in 1988?
Yes, I told you. This is the time frame is throwing you off. If I had said 1968, this would have been the first answer in your mind, right?
I would have. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Again, because of the close association to the independence movement, everything. I assumed he passed away in like the 50s, 60s. That's the cohort I thought he was part of. 88 is like 4 years before I was born. What?
Yeah, I was going to be 3 years old. He literally died 3 days before my third birthday.
Oh God. Oh yeah, that blows my mind. Okay, I would not have guessed that. But I also don't know the context as to why the Khyber Pass is related to him. Please explain.
So the answer for the audience who may have not understood was that the event that I was talking about was the funeral procession for Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, also known as the Frontier Gandhi or Bacha Khan. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was a revered Pashtun leader and disciple of Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence philosophy. He died on January 20th, 1988.
Oh, he was his hometown is Afghanistan.
Yes.
Did they transport his body there?
Yes, I'm getting to that. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
He died on January 20th, 1988 in Peshawar, Pakistan at the ripe old age of 97. His final wish for burial was that he should be buried in Jalalabad, which was his birthplace. This drew around 150,000 unarmed mourners on January 21st in a procession from Peshawar through the Khyber Pass without passports or visas. This so-called caravan of peace, bearing messages of love from Pashtuns east to west of the Khyber, prompted an extraordinary 24-hour ceasefire by the Afghan government, which was backed by the Soviets, and the US-supported Mujahideen rebels. Even then, there were 2 bomb blasts during the riots, killing around 15 people. Even more surprising, Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi made a historic, unannounced 1-hour visit to Peshawar on January 20th, the first by an Indian PM in 28 years, to pay respects to Khan at his bedside before his death. He was reportedly accompanied by his wife Sonia Gandhi, and this I could not find whether it's true or not, but some accounts do say that Rahul Gandhi was also with him. Rajiv Gandhi hailed Khan as the last of the towering giants of India's freedom struggle. And as you know, if you don't know, please go read about Khan's Khuda Khidmatgar movement, which was allied with Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence movement in the British rule. India also observed an official 5-day mourning period with Vice President Shankar Dayal Sharma publicly recalling Khan's lifelong bonds to India.
Yeah, and the history is interesting. The history is intriguing. This man, I think, embodied the best of the Indian independence movement. Like, he was perhaps Gandhi's philosophies better embodied in, I would go as far as to say that maybe even better than Gandhi himself did it. And that's saying something. So he was truly an inspirational man. And I guess that's his legacy. And the reason I also knew of him a little bit more than maybe what I remember from school is because of a lovely, lovely Amit Verma Seen and the Unseen episode. Go check it out. Pop culture recommendation. Episode 276. It is The Incredible Curiosities of Mukulika Banerjee, because she has written a book about the Khudai Khidmatgars and those who still survive. And there are very few, because there were people who followed Bacha Khan till the end of his days, and then eventually, because of political pressures, that movement completely died out. And but the great episode, go check it out. Sorry, I digress. It's just one of my favorite podcast episodes from that podcast. And Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, truly an inspirational man. Very, very impressive man. Also very tall, I believe, extremely tall.
Yeah. I mean, like, the Pashtun people are quite tall, and again, it's too much to go into in our episode, and frankly, I'm not enough of an expert to expound on it, but the entire culture of the Pashtun people it's fascinating culture. Their code of honor, Pashtunwali, I think it's called. If you do get a chance, please go read about it, the Pashtuns, or whom we call also the Pathans. So again, there's a lot of digressions from this, which are fascinating, to say the least.
Right. Random sidebar. He was around 6 feet 5 inches. So really tall. Okay. I'm going to give a disclaimer at the beginning that it's one of the annoying pieces of trivia that I've not found a very credible source for. But so take this as more of an urban legend.
Oh, my favorite kind.
Take this as a potential urban legend. There is the Deccan Gymkhana Club in Pune, which has a long, long history. It has been around for more than 100 years. It was started almost as a cultural point where people could gather, could convene, could participate and talk about Indian independence. And there were some important people from the Indian independence movement who were involved in its establishment. This place was also the origin of X. Why? A very important Indian independence movement personality is said to have written the book on X. And I say said to have written because I'm just missing a very credible source for it. So let's take it as maybe an urban legend. But why potentially wrote the book on X? Vineet, can you identify what very Indian thing, which is X, originated at the Deccan Gymkhana Club in Pune?
What originated in the Deccan Gymkhana Club in Pune, and somebody who was an Indian independence fighter apparently wrote a book on X.
Not a book, wrote the book, as the phrase goes.
Okay. Coincidentally, I am talking from Pune right now, but I have never visited the Deccan. So there is this piece of trivia which I remember from many years ago. Was this regarding a game? This is a game, I think you're talking about?
Nicely done, nicely done. Yes, it is.
I remember vaguely that there was some game that was for a long time called Pune, because it was from Pune. I mean, like, it was popularized in Pune, or was popular among those things. They had called it Pune. I think it was Badminton Apollo or one of the two of those. I don't remember.
Then you might be thinking of another game, because I don't think Pune features in the history of this game. But yes, it is a game.
Okay.
And it's not badminton.
And you said this is exclusively Indian.
Oh, very much Indian in its identity.
But would I be right in saying that India is no longer the champion of the sport?
If you're thinking kabaddi, it's not the answer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. No, I need some other clue.
Well, gear up for one of my favorite kind of clues, and that's a Hindu mythological clue, because, oh my God, the rich histories in the Hindu mythological texts. And we are talking about one of the greatest. I think Vineet already knows the answer, but For the uninitiated, here's the hint. Mahabharata involved the great battle at Kurukshetra, which waged for 18 days. In that, on the 13th day of war, Guru Dronacharya, who was the teacher to both Pandavas and Kauravas, but was fighting for Kauravas, devised the Chakravyuh. It was supposed to be an impenetrable war formation, which, unless broken, would have resulted in the Pandavas losing. And spoiler alert, Pandavas did win, so they did break the Chakravyuh. Here's the deal. There were very few people who could crack the Chakravyuh, who knew how to break it, and fewer still who knew how to escape from it after they had broken it. There was one person who only knew the former, did not know the latter. There's a lovely, lovely piece of mythology attached to how he only came to know one part of that knowledge. I'll let our listeners figure that part out. But Vineet, that is the mythological origin for, let's say, the ancient version of this game. Tell us what the answer is.
When I was guessing either Kabaddi or this game, I ruled out this game because I was like, no, this is a very old game. Like, people have known this for like thousands of years. At least it's mentioned, and I've heard this a similar kind of thing where chariots are rearranged according to whatnot and all. But I believe the answer is Kho-Kho.
Well done. Kho-Kho is the game in question. Very well cracked. Very well done.
But how does it relate to the Deccan Gymkhana Club? Because this is a very, very old game. Because it was popularized there, or like why is it?
Great question. So at this point, we are still pretty much in a well-documented part of the trivia question. The fact that it is roughly related to the Mahabharata, the Chakravyuh, breaking of the Chakravyuh, as you said, Arjun's son Abhimanyu was the only one who knew how to, who was available or was not caught up in battle elsewhere. And so he was able to go and break through, but he was not able to exit, and he died a valiant death. Oh my God, one of my absolute goosebump stories from Mahabharata. Love it. Absolutely love it. In any case, that
do you want to tell people why he did not know how to get out of it? And how he knew only one part of it?
You're indulging me. I'm going to say it. I love the story so much. So as people might know, the Pandava brothers had a few wives. Arjun, one of his wives was Subhadra. And Subhadra and Arjun had a son who went by the name of Abhimanyu. When Subhadra was with baby in womb, there was a moment where they were both lying in bed, Arjun and Subhadra, man and wife. And Arjun was telling her, just narrating how the Chakravyuh can be broken. He was just narrating the story. And Subhadra, who was obviously interested but was also pregnant, at some point was just tired and fell asleep. The young fetus in the womb, as he was, Abhimanyu, managed to hear the part where Arjun described how to break into the Chakravyuh. But then Subhadra fell asleep, and I assume the fetus also falls asleep when the mother falls asleep. So Abhimanyu fell asleep and was not able to hear the rest of the story, was not able to imbibe the rest of the story, and he did not know how to come out of the Chakravyuh. Arjun narrated it after she had fallen asleep. My God, I swear the Mahabharata is such a beautiful, rich text. Absolutely one of my favorite literary pieces of all time. Love it.
I would love to see a version directed by S.S. Rajamouli. Throw money at him, get completely new faces, no established stars at all. Let's forget this whole fanfare, this thing of, let Amir Khan play Krishna or let Hrithik Roshan play whoever. Let's get completely new faces. Do it as an 18-part movie.
I was just going to say, just make it the Game of Thrones. Like, just put a whole lot of money and make it like a multiple season lock series. Don't do films on it. Just do series. Yeah. Because, oh God, it'll be so good.
Yeah. And there was a recent animation series. Though I was not a fan of the animation itself, I was a fan of the storytelling of it. I think the show is called Kurukshetra.
Was this the fully AI-generated version?
No, not that. No, let's not even talk about that abomination. This is like a traditional animation, and it goes through the different days of the war, but it doesn't follow the usual linear storytelling. It doesn't start from King Bharat onwards and on. It starts from the first day of the war and then flashbacks and flashes back and forth and whatnot. It was but the animation is not. It was quite distracting for me because I'm used to a certain level of animation. And Abhimanyu, obviously, that is his character. The name Abhimanyu itself,
you can't help but associate just some valiant person with that name because it's just such a good name. The story is so good. And I again shout out to Uncle Pai, Amar Chitrakatha, which told the story of Abhimanyu. The animation is beautiful because the last few panels are of him just fighting, and apparently he's been
wielding that the chariot wheel
because he's been reduced to using just whatever is lying around him. He's been surrounded. He's a young boy. Apparently he's 16 years old or something. A lot of text describe him.
Yes. According to the text, he's around 16. And what adds is another layer to the story is that this 16-year-old boy eventually fell and died after multiple Maharathis. I think it was Drona, Ashwadhama, Karna, a few others also. All of them, Kripacharya, all of them had to attack him together, which was against the rules of war at that point of time, just to get him to fall in battle. It's just a goosebump story.
Because again, you said this, we're riffing so much. But you said that you would love to, that this version of the show of Mahabharata was flashbacks while the main storyline was just the war. I wouldn't even mind if each episode just featured on one character. Like if you just saw Abhimanyu's story from beginning to end, and then you saw Karn's story, then you saw Arjun's story or whatever. Because yes, Karn comes across as this this absolutely evil human being in this, and then you read Karn's story and you're like, oh my god, what a complex, beautiful character he is. I have read like Duryodhan's story and I'm like, man, I can empathize with this character also. It is such an amazing text. I think Mahabharata is just phenomenal.
Which is the entire point of the text, is that towards the end, after the Pandavas, they give up their kingdom and they're in their Vanaprastha, and then they leave the kingdom and they're climbing the mountain and they die one by one by one. And then Yudhishthir reaches heaven and he sees Duryodhan sitting in heaven.
Right. Yeah.
So then the entire question of what is morality and how it's relative, as in
you endow your most righteous character with a crippling gambling addiction where he is willing to wager his own wife. Come on, that is insanely good writing, man. That is some insanely good writing. He is the most righteous character that has ever been written, and he has a gambling addiction. Oh God! Oh my! You know what? I'll just
look at the rest of the characters. Right? You have Bhima, who is the stalwart. He is I would encourage, again, pop culture recommendation, M.T. Vasudevan Nayar's novel Randa Moolam, which literally translates to second turn. Its focus is on the Mahabharata from the point of view of Bhima. He's always second. He is second in line to the throne. He is second in line to Draupadi's affections. He's always the second in line. So it's called Second Turn. Fascinating novel. You should definitely read it. So he's a complex character. Then you have Arjun. The guy is gifted beyond belief, and he has amazing riz. Every woman who meets him kind of just falls for him immediately. I think the only person who has more riz than him in the Mahabharata is Lord Krishna.
God, give it to Krishna, man. Just shows up, and it's one of those entries where you're like, oh, all right, okay, we got the epic entry music. I can just picture this show already in my head. Just make it. Somebody please just make it.
Whoever is making it, I know you're not going to be listening to me. You're not even going to be able to know my opinion on this, but I'm just putting it out in the universe. If anybody's ever going to make the Mahabharata, please don't make it with known faces. It is impossible for people to relate to such a character if you put somebody's face in that. Like Amir Khan desperately wants to play Krishna. I appreciate that he wants to, because he's an actor and he finds that role fascinating or for whatever reason. But I cannot look at that and not remember Rancho or PK. So please don't do that.
Yeah, no, I gotta give it on.
We've gone on.
Wow, we deviated long enough, but might keep this in the entire episode in any case. You know what? Release it as an extra special. But coming back to the question, Coco finds its mythological origins in the Hindu mythological epic Mahabharata, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, in the Chakravyuh. And there are stories and legends of how it is called Ratha, which means basically chariot, right? So there was a version of it which was played with chariots. And of course, as people know, Kho is not played in any sort of a vehicle or chariot. It is played with people on the field and two teams, and it's a running game more than anything else. You asked me what the connection is, and we still haven't answered why is the Indian independence movement figure. That's the part which is contentious. That's the part which I don't have any solid evidence for. Take it with a grain of salt. But the origin being at Pune's Deccan Gymkhana Club, you asked me, that's where it kind of was codified. The modern version of the game was codified. That's where it was, let's say, the modern version originated and was popularized from. So tell me, which person do you think was associated to that geographical region? Which person came from that region and would have been maybe involved in writing the book on Kho?
I honestly can't think of anybody who's sports inclined in the Indian independence movement. Okay, so this is Pune, this is Maharashtra, so Bal Gangadhar Tilak.
Indeed, again, a very good educated guess. Bal Gangadhar Tilak is the person in question. And I will once again emphasize that there is no solid proof for this piece of trivia. Please take it with a huge grain of salt. Wikipedia was my best source. But Wikipedia says the first rule book of Kho was written by Bal Gangadhar Tilak.
Oh.
Yeah. Here's where it gets interesting, because the Pune's Deccan Gymkhana Club Association is pretty strongly documented to Kho. Bal Gangadhar Tilak's association to the Gymkhana Club is also fairly well documented. The connection between him and Kho is not the most well documented, so take that part as maybe conjecture. But in any case, the rest of it was very much solid trivia, where Kho has its origins in Mahabharata, was codified in early 20th century, 1914, I believe, in Pune's Deccan Gymkhana Club. And its history then went on to being displayed. Some of the Indian sports were displayed, were exhibitioned, I believe that is the right term, at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. So including Kabaddi, Kho, a bunch of these were on exhibition at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Currently, almost 25 countries have their own national Kho teams. So who knows, might become a pretty significant world sport. And that is Kho.
I've played Kho in school, and I've always found it slightly better version of catch and release. But I would encourage people to go watch professionals play Kho, because it's a completely different animal.
So fun to watch that.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's a fantastic audience spectator sport.
It's almost as fun as watching professionals play tag. Such a cool sport.
Oh yeah, that is fascinating. That's again pop culture recommendation. The movie Tag, which is based on a true story.
Yeah, fun movie.
I'm not going to mention segues, but moving on. The earliest recorded recipe for this appears in Apicius, an ancient Roman cookbook, though comparable preparations existed in China even earlier. Variants of this dish are found across numerous global cuisines and can be made using such techniques as baking, boiling, frying, simmering, or steaming. While this food is known by different names worldwide, several South Asian, especially Indian forms, include items like fara, pidi, and muthia. One specific variant, Vai, is typically prepared using coconut and jaggery. It closely resembles kangidon, which is offered to the deity Kangiten, the Japanese counterpart of X. Despite regional naming differences, comparable conceptual link exists between X in general and the specific form Y. I want you to identify X and Y. Y is the food item we are talking about, and X is the deity.
Oh, so okay. You said fara, right?
Fara, yeah.
I've had fara. I don't like fara. I've had fara.
No, these are all variants, not exactly the same thing.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. Because it's basically, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's some flour and fried flour dish, which not my cup of tea.
Again, I mentioned that this particular dish or variants of this family of dishes can be made by baking, boiling, frying, simmering, steaming.
Initially, I thought you were talking about dumplings, but I think that has a more Asian origin than
So I did mention that this earliest recorded recipe is in Epicurus, which is a Roman cookbook, but comparable preparations existed in China even earlier.
Okay, then dumplings does make sense. I'm trying to think of what else it could be. No, I'm going to go with dumpling. Dumpling makes sense.
Yes, but again, I want the specific answer for this one because dumpling is a huge family of dish which, I mean, like you'll find variants of dumplings in any country in across Europe, Central Asia, Southeast Asia. Okay, so I'm going to repeat one portion of the clue again. So one specific variant of this dish, why, is prepared using coconut and jaggery. It closely resembles kangidan, which is offered to the deity Kangiten. Kangiten is the Japanese counterpart of X. And despite regional naming differences, there is a comparable conceptual link between X in general and the specific form of the dish Y.
You're asking somebody who lives in Mumbai. I have had my fair share of modak. I know you're talking about modak because of the coconut and the jaggery part. Modak is associated with Ganpati, Lord Ganesha. I'm assuming then Kangiten is, but Japan has their own version of Ganpati?
Okay, so yes, so this X is Ganesha and Y is, technically it's Ukadiche Modak. Again, my Marathi is horrible, but let's say I'll accept Modak. So yeah, so this is again fascinating piece of history and cultures colliding and coinciding. So the ancient Roman cookbook Epicurus from the 4th and 5th century CE features early recipes like the Isia Omentata, which are meat-filled pouches. Chinese versions like the jiaozi or wonton predated from the Han dynasty somewhere around 200 BCE. There are many methods and many names. It's steamed, boiled, fried, baked, simmered worldwide. It's called the gyotza in Japan, the ravioli in Italy, the pierogi in Poland, momo in the Himalayas. In South Asian, you have the fara in Bihar, pidi from Kerala, muthia from Gujarat. The specific version we are talking about is the ukadiche modak, which is the Maharashtrian steamed rice flour dumplings filled with grated coconut and jaggery spiced with cardamom, nutmeg, poppy seeds. And it is the favorite prasad of Lord Ganesha. Kangidan, which is the fried dough ball with sweet fillings, usually red bean and honey, is offered to the Japanese deity Kangiten. Kangiten is the Japanese Buddhist form of Ganesha, depicted as an elephant-headed deity symbolizing joy, prosperity, and, wait for it, obstacle removal.
Classic Ganpati behavior.
Yes. So you have the Modak and Lord Ganesha in Maharashtra, and you have the Kangidan, which is a fried dough ball with sweet fillings offered to Kangiten, who is the Japanese Buddhist version of Ganesha, depicted as an elephant-headed deity symbolizing joy, prosperity, and obstacle removal. Now, Aditya, you have to tell me what was the segue which I skipped.
We were talking about Bal Gangadhar Tilak. We are talking about Ganpati. I'm wondering if he had a hand in making Ganesh Visarjan a big deal, because I know it was part of the Indian independence movement.
Yes. Though Ganesh Chaturthi has been celebrated for hundreds of thousands of years, the act of making the Ganesh Visarjan a city-wide festival was Bal Gangadhar Tilak's idea. He used that to kind of unite people, bring together, and right now it is one of the best experiences you can have in the city of Mumbai. And again, modaks are a big part of that celebration. So that was the segue, which I did not want to say anything about because I didn't want to give away, because I really wanted you to try and guess from Kangiten and Kangidan.
That was a brilliant question. I think the giveaway was coconut and jaggery, just because I literally had modak like I think a week ago. I was out for dinner with friends and I had some modak. And you also mentioned what dumplings are called in different parts of the world. I'll tell you about what it's called in Georgia. It's called khinkali. And I'm only going to give you a piece of advice. Please go to Georgia. Amazing country. I had such a great time last year when I was there. But when you eat khinkali, the top part of it, the peak of the mountain as it were, you are not supposed to eat it, because very often times it's even raw flour over there. You're supposed to eat the rest, you're just supposed to hold it to the top. And I have this very overwhelming urge to not waste food. So I, for the first few days, was eating the top. And by the midpoint of my trip, I had a massive stomachache. Then I Googled it and you're like, this raw flour, you're not even supposed to eat it. You're just supposed to discard it.
So do they like boil it by just, dipping part of it in water or something like that?
I think they steam it and it's steamed entirely. And the thing is, it is the top or the knob or the peak or whatever it is very thick. It's literally and it's a big dumpling. It's not a small dumpling. So the knob becomes even thicker because of the way it's made. And that means that it's not cooked through. It is raw on the inside. I was eating raw for days on end. The gluten digesting parts of my body were overworked and at some point gave up, I think. So
one other variant is the kolukatta, which is a breakfast or a snack item you find in Kerala, which also uses coconut and jaggery. Some people use coconut and sugar. The filling varies, but it's also a rice flour dough which is steamed, stuffed with this. My grandmother used to make some excellent kolukatta.
Very cool.
Okay, so that's all the regular questions we have for our regular round of quizzing. Aditya, there is the matter of the audience question, which I had asked at the beginning of today's episode. In 2021, chess streamers Alexandra and Andrea Botes ran a fast-paced bullet chess tournament, games under 3 minutes per side, lasting just 1 hour on their platform. Who was the winner of this particular tournament?
I guess I'm making an assumption that you are a little bit like me and do some topical questions. So is it by any chance the man who is trending on social media a fair bit right now, Samay Raina?
Yes, it was Samay Raina. So the Bote sisters, Alexandra and Andrea, hosted this 1 hour bullet arena tournament on May 5th, 2021 via chess.com. It was sponsored by Cash App. Indian comedian / chess YouTuber Samay Raina topped the standings with 115 points, 32 wins, 3 losses and 2 draws.
Wow. The talented man. He's clearly a very smart guy. Say what you will about who he is as a person, and honestly, what do we even know? People have multitudes. But he's a good entertainer. He is a solid storyteller, and he's a smart man, like business and otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. And now what's your audience question or the smack that for next week?
Might I also tell you that we have a request, and by none other than Ashwin Mascarenas himself, that I release the version of you singing Smack That as a standalone video on social media because he is...
No!
For those who don't know, our Reddit page was initiated and is very actively run by Ashwin. He's been a long-time listener and friend of the podcast. And if he says it, we have to do it because without him, there is no Reddit page. So I will be releasing it. You know what? We might make it like a just for our special regular listeners gig. We'll find out how, but we'll release it only to them. Send us a good question. Maybe I'll privately send you a YouTube link Vineet sending Smack That.
There are like 2 seconds of me doing that. How do you plan to monetize 2 seconds?
I will stretch it out. I don't even want to monetize it. This should not be monetized. I do not believe in gatekeeping good art.
Dude, it's not good art. It's humiliating. Ashwin, Baba, please.
Okay. For our smack question, the social media audience question, I am going to be giving you a document in visual form. It's going to be a visual question as always. This is an official document. It is a general declaration. It's a customs declaration form. Look at it. Tell me, who signed or who filled out this customs form and why? That is the question that you need to answer. More will be evident once you just look at the image itself, but it's a very interesting and important piece of history. It's a customs form. And how often can you say that? How often can you say that this is an important piece of history in the form of a customs form? Look at it, tell us who filled it out and why on our social media pages. Looking forward to it. The first person to do so will get a shout out. That is the smack of episode 138.
Okay, nice. And Aditya, what are your pop culture recommendations for this week?
My pop culture recommendation is going to be again topical. I have to recommend For All Mankind. This is an Apple TV show. I was quite actively jonesing for a space-related thing to watch. So I've seen, I love a bunch of these movies. These are side recommendations. If you haven't seen any of them, please go watch. You can watch Moon, watch Sunshine. Absolutely do watch Arrival. I'm sure I've recommended Martian in the past. Contact is great. Interstellar, obviously phenomenal. Project Hail Mary, recently saw it, loved it. All of these phenomenal films. But I was like, oh my God, I need something more. I've seen all of these in the past. I've seen some of them multiple times.
Yeah.
So I came across For All Mankind. This is an Apple TV show, and this is an alternate history show, which immediately was intriguing. Turns out that it references the plaque that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin left on the moon when they first landed there. And it said something along the lines of that we are taking this step in science and progress and whatever for the world, for all mankind. And in this alternate version, they have not landed on the moon first. Somebody has beaten them to it. It is the surprise, the Russians.
Soviets.
The Soviets have gotten there first, which means the plaque was never really planted on the moon because they didn't get there first. So it's just a sort of like a no, I won't even call it a MacGuffin. It's just some sort of a pop culture iconic thing that exists in the timeline of this show. And what happens because the Soviets get there first is that now the Americans are doubling down on their space race efforts. So it doesn't stop after those few Apollo missions. In fact, they keep going on and on and on. And that's the few seasons of it. So every season is a decade jump so far. So I'm on season 3 now. The last season, I believe, 6th season is going to come out next year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of it. It's such a good show. I'm enjoying it so much. For All Mankind.
I've already recommended a couple of things on the show. I think I've recommended M.T. Vasudevan Nayar's book Second Turn or Randa Moram, as it is in English, in Malayalam. I've also recommended the movie Tag, which is again a fun movie. It didn't make waves when it came out, but a very cool Jeremy Renner performance. And I would also like to recommend a series of movies and shows from the Predator franchise. So I'd like to recommend Predator Prey, which is an amazing take on the Predator concept, but kept among Native Americans in the early 1800s or something like that. Then there is Predator Badlands, which is really cool. Again, we see something from the point of view of the predator rather than the prey. And then finally, Predator Killer of Killers, which is an animated series. Again, really good. I mean, I'm generally in love with the Predator franchise, even though there have been some stinkers along the way. Something like Alien versus Predator and Predators and whatever that shit thing with Adrian Brody was. But let's forget all of those. Just think of the original Predator and then come to Predator Prey.
Hold up. Did you just call Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem bad films? Because as it happens, I was introduced to both those franchises through AVP.
Oh my God. And you stuck with it?
So
that's the surprising thing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this one film came up with these two very different concepts and I had no idea that they were a crossover thing. And I was like, this is some interesting... I didn't think the storyline was great, but I was like, you know what? Some great thought went into and design went into the aliens look and feel and how different it is from Predator. And I was like, just one film came up with two very... Like most films do one aliens. They did two. I was very impressed, Vineet. I watched both the films. I was very impressed. And then it was an embarrassingly long time after which I realized that these were independent franchises and probably the worst of the lot of them that had been introduced to me.
Really, trust me, they were the worst of the lot.
So in my head, I always thought, and AVP, anybody who's not watched it, at some point Alien is fighting Predator. And in that, Predator is the good guy for some reason and aliens are the bad guys. I guess whatever made sense to them. So in my head, Predators are always good. So then when I finally came across the franchise, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was misled.
No, they have officially merged both universes, but AVP is not the one I would recommend. If you want to watch a merged universe, I would recommend you watch Predator Badlands. The Wade and Yutani Foundation is part of it. And if you've seen the first Alien movie, there are callbacks and things to that. So it's a great, much better version of what you wanted to actually watch. So, yeah, those are my pop culture recommendations for this week. And that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you all for listening in, and we hope you learned something new. Please follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, and on whichever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Take 2 seconds out to just, rate us, give us a 5-star review, subscribe, and hit the notification or bell icon to know when our episodes come out. And please, if you want to have questions asked on the show, send us those questions at areyouquizzingme@gmail.com with the name of the quizmaster in the subject line. If you want to interact with other fans of the show, including those who stab me in the back, I'm pointing my finger at you. Yeah, so you can, talk with those Brutuses on at r/areyouquizzingme, which is our subreddit, which is ably managed by the biggest Brutus of them all, Ashwin Mascarenhas. But it's all in good fun. And yeah, so that's all the housekeeping from my side. Aditya, I'm giving you the space to sign off in whichever madcap way you are thinking of today.
You know what? Just one thing to say. Alien versus Predator. No.
Oh, no. So, okay, this is going to be a callback to a podcast which many of you may not listen to, but Geostorm! Okay, so...
It's okay, leave it at that.
Okay, if anybody knows which podcast I'm talking about, comment under this video or comment on our Instagram or send us a DM or comment on Reddit.
Send Vineet a snail mail. Send him a postcard.
Yeah. Geostorm!
See you guys next week.
And if you never heard of Wagner, I guarantee you have heard his Ride of the Valkyries, which is this.